Welcome to Section 3 of the Job Coaching for the Paraprofessional Course. This section is all about the importance of relationships. As a job coach and paraprofessional, you have many different roles to play and many different important relationships to build and form connection. You work with teachers, you support them in and out of the classroom. Students, you're also supporting in the classroom, but also in this role as a job coach out in the community and in different businesses. You often see the families and have a relationship built with them, sometimes coming into more contact with families than a teacher may. All of the folks in the community that you'll work with and in the business that you're doing job coaching also have special relationships that need some connection. You often see more than the teachers are able to see in the day and what the students are doing. So you're absolutely invaluable in sharing information back to the school and supporting the student and the teacher. In your relationship with the teacher, it's important to just get to know each other and talk about like what style and what way is the best way to share information. Each teacher has a different way that they may want you to collect data when you're on the job or share information. They may have a different style that they want to have things, maybe they want you to write things down, or they want you to meet with them, set a set time once a week that you can connect and share information and update each other. It's also really important for you to have that relationship with the teacher so that you are familiar with what goals the student is working on in their IEP and what their PTP transition goals are in the future. Your relationship with the student is absolutely invaluable. It does take time to build some connection and trust with each student, and then just really getting to know how each student operates and, what may be some tricks and tips with each student as far as what works for them to calm down and stay regulated. What are stressors that you might encounter when you're out in the community or in a different business? And it's important to, really lead with that positive reinforcement as well and build that connection. With families, you may interact with families more than any other staff in the school district. It's really important to be careful about what you share with families. You also want to talk with the teacher. Some districts have specific policy about working with families and, who can share information, what format that they want it in. Each family also has their preferred way of communication. Some families may have a notebook that travels with the student to and from school. Some may prefer a phone call, but it's really important to work with your teacher closely to understand if that is your role or their role or how they want information to be shared with the family. The other piece of that too is confidentiality. Always to be very mindful and careful when you are sharing information with a family member that there's not others around. Same thing in the community. There's always somebody listening, and it is really hard as someone working in the education field to be sitting at a baseball game on a weekend and overhearing folks talking about something they may hear going on in the district. And it's very important to always be mindful that we are not to share anything outside of the school that's confidential. And that's hard sometimes, but it's absolutely imperative that we uphold confidentiality in all our relationships and forms that we're in. Same thing goes with working in a community or in the business. When you're out in the community, you represent the school district and are the face of that district. When you're in the businesses, it's important to take some time to really get to know the culture, the environment, what are their rules of the business. Every business may be a little bit unique. So, for example, Quick Trip will often say, we'll see you next time. That's their tagline. So, getting to know the different things that are expected so that you can do your best in coaching and supporting the student in the role that they're in their business. There's usually one main contact at the business, so getting to know them. getting to know the procedures if there ever were an emergency, if you were out and about. That goes for both, like what is the procedure in the business and what's the procedure that the district wants you to do if you are out in the community and there's a safety issue. Um, Perhaps if there is some behavior with the student and they're feeling stressed out and uncomfortable, what is the procedure that you would do supporting? And you are there to advocate for the student. So it's important to know the accommodations that are in their IEP, what are supports that you can put in place, and then you're working with that contact at the business to help build that. The other thing that sometimes is forgotten about and is just as important is helping the student in the environment of the business and out in the community to build relationships with their coworkers that they're working with. And sometimes natural supports may come to light that were unexpected that um, will be a help and a support for the students. So enjoy section 3. And remember, as always, if you have any questions at all, reach out to any of us at TIGS. We're happy to work with you and talk through anything.